Hi, this is Margo. This is Sunday evening, March the 22nd, 2020, and I'm not feeling great, but I'm going to try and get through this report. This is for our weekly update on methane, and also our daily update. So let's start with 2-meter temperature anomaly on climate reanalyzer. For today, we can see a lot of red still in the Arctic, and then it's moving down into northern Canada. And for the world is up 0.5 C, higher than normal. The northern hemisphere is up 1 C. The Arctic is up 2.8 C, so that's lower than yesterday. It was 3.1 C higher than normal. The tropics are up 0.5 C. The southern hemisphere is zeroed out, and the Antarctic is 2.5 C lower than normal. So here's the flat view. We've got a lot of red coming down in China here. We've got a lot of blue coming down in Canada right here, on the eastern Canada, and it's also coming down in Russia, and we can see the Antarctic is almost all in the blue, which is about 10, it looks at least 10 degrees cooler than normal. Here's the NOAA data from yesterday for Saturday the 21st, and it's for the 477/469 millibar reading. The mean was 1887, and the high reading was 2382. This is for the MET-OP1 satellite in the morning. In the afternoon, the mean was 1886, and the high reading was 2366. For the MET-OP2 satellite in the morning, the mean was 1870, and the high reading was 2269. And then in the afternoon, for this satellite, the mean was 1869, and the high reading was 2479. So here's our spreadsheet that we're working on, which we started at March 1st of last year. And so here's our weekly numbers. And so I added up all those numbers that I just showed you for yesterday and divided them by 4, and we come up with an average for this level for 1878 for this week, which is down 3 parts per billion from last week, which we really needed that. We need some valleys because we don't need the methane just going straight up here in the springtime. It's supposed to be still going down, but it's not supposed to be really starting to go up until around July, around July. So we can see it's gone down a good part, and here's where I'm tracking it. I recently started tracking it on a daily basis, and at the beginning of the week, here it was last week at 1881, and then it went down until the 19th, and then it's gone up. So we actually did go way down and now it's come back up to give us the 3 degree loss in 3 parts per billion loss in methane. So now let's take a peek at CAMS, Copernicus Atmosphere Monitoring Services. This is for today, Sunday the 22nd. We have the Arctic view and surface level pulled up. Here's our color ledger at the bottom. And we can see this is where it left off on Saturday, with this high release populating all around Severnaya Zemlya. So watch this movie, fasten your seatbelts. This is not looking good. As it moves into the forecast period, it just keeps populating and sending out the arms, moving across, and then we have releases here in the Chukchi Sea, East Siberia ice shelf, and it's moving into these higher releases with red here in the Laptev Sea. Watch there, and that's on Wednesday in the forecast period. And then the yellow, and then the lighter colors of green, that's high methane release as well. We're also still seeing high releases on this coast of Alaska. So the Arctic is going to town. So even though the methane might have gone down this last week overall, the Arctic is still, it's ramping up. Now let's look at the North Pole view. We're seeing high releases moving out in the Atlantic Ocean here from Europe and the UK, and that's been covered up with methane for a few days. It's actually looking a little better. Here's the Persian Gulf. Here's India. Here it is coming out of the Indian Ocean. This Arabian Sea area looks a little better. Here's China. And then we see North America with this background color rising, coming up into the orange color, and high methane releases from the Midwest all the way over. And now here's the global view. We're still seeing this white spot popping up in China as it runs through. Watch right there, see? I'm thinking that's where it's higher than what the chart can read, or what the model reads. Okay, now let's look at 500 HPA. That is definitely covered up. Look at that. And this dark area coming up from Eastern Asia here. And now let's look at total column. I I apologize for not going into more detail. I'm just not feeling great, so just wanting to show you the data here. Here it's quite high coming off of China and Japan, India, and coming up over Brazil. And then it's going into the orange region and reddish region across the Pacific. So there's that. Now, looking at sulfur dioxide, we've been seeing these very high releases all week from the Aleutian Islands, the Pacific, and Canada, also in the North Atlantic. So this is ongoing, and I think it's evidence of the tectonic plates moving. And I don't know why it keeps coming up and hanging out over Canada. I don't have an answer for that. This is the 500 HPA view. Here's the Eurasia view, total column. We see that Kazakhstan has gone way down here, where it was coming up a whole bunch. Here's China, still releasing a lot. Here it is at 500 HPA. Here's the Pacific view, total column. We can see a lot of sulfur dioxide near this bottom part of this Juan de Fuca plate here. And this whole Cascadia subduction zone is releasing, and we can see in the Aleutian Islands also. And so this Pacific plate runs, the red line runs along here and down here, and then we've got the Juan de Fuca plate and so on. And then all this high levels hanging out over Canada for whatever reason. Here it is at 500 HPA. Here's the North Pole view. And here it is at 500 HPA. And the South Pole view. Here's the North America view. And you can see it really concentrated here up off the Pacific Northwest coast, Vancouver Island, and this whole area. And also, this is 500 HPA, where it releases quickly and gathers up in the atmosphere. This is North Dakota is right over here. This is just west of that. Salt Lake is down here. Yellowstone is up here. This is Montana here. So this looks like a new release here. This could be earthquake related. It has that signature. Here's the North Atlantic. See, we've got high sulfur dioxide all over the place. And here's the 500 HPA view. So we did have a 4.8 just at the base of the Juan de Fuca plate off the coast of Petrolia, California. This came in at 9:27 this morning, 11 kilometers deep. Here in Southern California, I've been tracking these earthquakes at the Searles Valley Ridgecrest area, and we have 44 here today out of 272 worldwide. And then we're back to the beginning of our pictures. Now let's look at some earthquakes. It's really rocking. It's the biggest one came in here in the South Pacific or Central East Pacific rise at 6.1. Came in at 3:38 Pacific time. And here's one, a deep one at Tonga, 5.1. It was 328 kilometers deep. 5.1 Indonesia. 5.0 Kangen, Indonesia. 4.6 Philippines. Then we've got 2 here in the Mariana Islands, a 5.0 and a 4.7 in the same place. 4.9 Aksu, China. 4.1 Jarm, Afghanistan. Here's a 5.6 in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean on that red line. I was listening to Dutch Census update earlier this evening, and he's saying, oh, this is on the red line. He must be watching my videos, because I say, oh, that's on the red line. Now he's saying, oh, it's on the red line. He used to say, this such and such tectonic plate line. Now he's saying, oh, it's on the red line. I thought that was cute. So here in Croatia, we've had a 5.4. This is near Casina, Croatia. And a 4.6 and a 3.4. All right there. And now let's come on across. Here in Mexico was a 4.0 near Victoria, Honduras. So that's not Mexico, it's just south of it. Here we had a 4.6 in the Cayman Islands, East End. And here in the near Puerto Rico, we've had 23 here today. It's just been rocking, and the earth is not stopping shaking, it's speeding up, and I've had these awful pains in the last couple of hours. They're starting to ease up. I'm thinking I'm picking up on all of the anxiety and all of the stuff going on, but it also could be we're going to have something big happen, big earthquake or something. It was just pretty much all of a sudden, but it's going away. I was not going to do the show, but I decided, well, I want to go ahead and try. Alright, so here in Hawaii, we've had 10 here today. Twos and under. Apologize if I'm not very energetic or very chatty. I'm just showing you things. Here's Alaska. There are 61 here today. Now look, here's one just off this. It's at Petersburg, Alaska, 3.1, but it's actually just across the border from Canada. This is northwest Canada. So this is where we've been seeing a lot of sulfur dioxide come up. Also, look up here. Remember, we've been seeing a lot of methane coming up off the coastline of Alaska all year, ever since January. Look here at Koktovik and Arctic Village. They have had 9 here today. And they're in the water, and they have offshore drilling near here. But here's Koktovik, and it's right there. They're all clustered right there in the Arctic Ocean and right there on land. The largest one was a 3.2. They've got the default depth of 10 kilometers on most of these. Here's a 3.4. That's the largest one. That came in at 1:57 this afternoon. There's that. But we haven't seen any really huge earthquakes to equate to the amount of sulfur dioxide we've seen in the Aleutian Islands, or to equate to all the stuff we've been seeing come up across Canada and everything. So, I mean, I'm still waiting to see some big earthquakes, and Dutch Sense was saying the same thing. So we're on the same page, and he reads it by watching the movement of the earthquakes, and I read it by the sulfur dioxide mainly. Well, and other things, and I've watched him a long time. Here's a 2.3 in the New Madrid zone near Girardeau, I don't know how to say that, Girardeau, Missouri. 3.0 Gardendale, Texas. That's near, looks like it's near Midland, Odessa. Here's a 3.1 in Kansas. Now these are good size, and here's all these in Oklahoma. That's from the fracking. Salt Lake City is it's ramping back up. Remember, it had a 5.7 here a couple of days ago. In the last 24 hours, they've had 13 more, and a 3.9 is the largest. So that's coming back up. Here's Yellowstone. Just a couple, three. That's not many. 3 right there, small ones. Here in the Pacific Northwest, it's been active with Seattle. What's the largest one? A 3.2. Lake Marcel, Stillwater. So how many are here? 11 here today. So here we have near the Vancouver Island a 2.1, Friday Harbor, and so on. Here's one in Oregon. That was a small one, 0.5. Here's one at Mount St. Helens, a small one at 0.3 at minus 0.1 kilometer depth, meaning that the magma is moving up into the chamber and the earthquake is happening above the ground. Here's a 0.6 at Mount Rainier at a minus 0.6 kilometer depth, same thing. Magma is moving up in the chamber. They're small, but small earthquakes count. They do count. Now down here is the one I already showed you, 4.8 near Petrolia, right at the base of this Juan de Fuca plate at the fulcrum point. And this fulcrum point goes straight across to Salt Lake City. You see that? Straight line. So this one came in at 9:27 this morning. And then these have been coming in all day. So there's that. 1.8 Cavella. And then we're still, remember I showed last night we had, I don't know, 90 earthquakes here at Carson City yesterday. Well, it's still rocking. We've got 25 here today. They're small. Some are 0 magnitude, and these are calculated by an algorithm. It's still an earthquake, it's just very tiny. Ones and under. 1.1 is the highest, it looks like. So that's still going along. And I'm not going to go into great detail on these. Dutch Sense does that. Here's the geysers. 28 here today. There's Ridgecrest, Searles Valley, and so on. And then here is the LA and San Diego region, 22 here. And so that's not very many. When I was doing the daily, going over every single little one of them last year, we would see 30, 40, 50, 60 down here in a day. So 22 is, that's an easy day. So, considering all the sulfur dioxide releases, I think we're seeing a lot of plate movement, and sometimes we see earthquakes that relate to it and sometimes we don't. But we're seeing tons of sulfur dioxide, especially hanging out over Canada, that I have a theory about that I haven't shared yet. But, well, one of my theories is that with the reduced industrial activity because of all the different lockdowns going on, that the sulfates are starting to now fall out of the atmosphere, out of the sky, and we may be seeing the results of that in sulfur dioxide. I don't know, it's a theory. And they're gathering. It's like gathering at this 500 HPA. It's a theory, it could be, I don't know. Normally we see things as they're going up in the sky, and we say, oh, that's going up. But what if it's coming down? How would we tell the difference between what's going up and what's coming down? The instruments are measuring whatever it is, whether it's going up or coming down. So it could be that. I don't know. But it doesn't look good.